Welcome to another episode of Movie Lover News, the #1 movie show on, you guessed it, Earth. Sorry, that wasn't that funny. I'm your host, Tyrone Rubin. I'm doing the show with Alex, and there's been a lot of news about Darren Aronofsky directing the next Wolverine film. And finally, I have some small, substantial news to report on. Darren Aronofsky has revealed the title for the new Wolverine movie starring Hugh Jackman. The movie is to be titled The Wolverine. I know it's not that big a news, and what is interesting is it'll not be a sequel, The Wolverine, to the Gavin Hood directed film X-Men Origins Wolverine in 2009. Darren Aronofsky said the Wolverine will be very different, great news there, from the first film, and will be a one-off or standalone project. The script is written by McQuarrie, and it involves Logan beginning a forbidden romance with a Japanese woman whose hand in marriage is unfortunately promised to another man. Since Logan won't take no for an answer, it puts him into battle with her father and her samurai sword-wielding brothers. Hugh Jackman commented that with Darren Aronofsky directing The Wolverine, it will not be usual, stating, "This is hopefully for me going to be out of the box. It's going to be the best one, I hope." And I, Hugh Jackman, feel this is going to be very different. This is Wolverine. This is not Popeye. He's kind of dark, but you know, this is a change of pace. The new Wolverine film will be based on the Chris Claremont and Frank Miller miniseries from 1982. The 1982 Marvel Comics 4-issue miniseries featuring Wolverine in his first solo series, fighting in Japan. The script for the miniseries, the comic miniseries, by Chris Claremont, and the artwork was by Frank Miller and inks by Joe Rubinstein. On a car ride home, following an appearance at the San Diego Comic-Con, Chris Claremont and Frank Miller discussed ways to add some depth to the character. This spawned the 4-issue Wolverine miniseries, which cast him as a wayward samurai. The series introduced Wolverine's staple line about being the best at what he does and propelled the character to stratospheric popularity. At the time of this story, Wolverine is a man grappling with his animal nature. It's unclear if he is more man than beast, and there is a sense that Logan could actually slip off the precipice and lose his humanity altogether. When Wolverine calls to Mariko Yashida, he heads to Japan to check out the woman he loves. In Japan, he discovers Mariko is now married to a cold and brutal businessman. Further, Wolverine is humiliated in combat, losing honor in front of Mariko, who is forced to see Logan as little more than an animal. As he cuts a swath through scores of hand assassins and an unfortunate betrayal, Wolverine confronts his very nature. Is he animal or man? Is he samurai or vigilante? The bodies pile up, and Wolverine does in fact reach a satisfactory conclusion about himself. This sets Logan on a path with a new focus that would serve to define his character. A release date for this film, The Wolverine, has not been set yet, but it's looking like it's going to start filming in 2011 in March. The writer of the script for Wolverine, McQuarrie, who has written a lot of films for Bryan Singer. He wrote Bryan Singer's first film in 1993 called Public Access. He wrote Bryan Singer's film The Usual Suspects in 1995, where he won an Oscar for that film. He wrote for Bryan Singer Apt Pupil in 1998 and Valkyrie for Bryan Singer in 2008. McQuarrie has also written and directed a film called The Way of the Gun in 2000, and he's also the writer behind the massive film that's due out on the 10th of December called The Tourist with Angelina Jolie and Johnny Depp. He's also the writer behind the 2011 film which Bryan Singer's directing called Jack the Giant Killer. Other films from Marvel which we can see next year, which is the studio and comic franchise behind Wolverine, are Thor, which is being directed by Kenneth Branagh, which is due out on May the 6th next year. X-Men First Class by director Matthew Vaughn, which is due out on the 3rd of June next year. And Captain America, which is due out next year by director Johnston on the 22nd of July. Also from Marvel, we have Ghost Rider, Spirits of Vengeance, which is due out in 2012. We have The Avengers, which is due out on the 4th of May 2012 by director and writer Joss Whedon, and the Untitled SpiderMan Reboot film in 2012, the 3rd of July. by director Marc Webb. And in 2013 there'll be Iron Man 3. So there's a lot of films from Marvel, and that's why I think all this talent involved in the Wolverine is going to be great. And having director Darren Aronofsky behind this film is also something I'm really excited about. From Darren Aronofsky, on the 3rd of December we can see his much anticipated film Black Swan, which is a thriller that zeroes in on the relationship between a veteran ballet dancer and a rival. It's got Natalie Portman, Mila Kunis, Winona Ryder and Vincent Cassel. Darren Aronofsky is also a producer on the film called The Fighter, which is due out on the 10th of December, a week after Black Swan, which looks great and has been getting a lot of buzz. There's a trailer for that. There's also a trailer for Black Swan. The Fighter's been directed by David O. Russell and stars Mark Wahlberg, Amy Adams. Darren Aronofsky's cinematographer Matthew Libatique will be back shooting this film. Matthew Libatique has shot all of Darren Aronofsky's films except The Wrestler. He shot Pi, Requiem for a Dream, The Fountain, and he shot Black Swan. He went on, Matthew Libatique, to shoot for Spike Lee, Inside Man and Miracle at St. Anne. Matthew Libatique also went on to shoot for Jon Favreau. He shot the first Iron Man, he shot the second Iron Man, and he's also shooting Cowboys and Aliens for Jon Favreau, which is due out next year on the 29th of July. So the talent behind the Wolverine puts it on my excitement meter at a 10 out of 10. We have Darren Aronofsky as a director, Hugh Jackman's back, Christopher McQuarrie's writing the screenplay, Matthew Libatique is shooting it, Marvel's doing a lot of great work, which heightened my excitement for the Wolverine. It's based on the original Wolverine series in 1982, which I'm definitely going to read before I watch Wolverine. And yes, in the beginning of the show I mentioned that it was rumors that Darren Aronofsky was shooting it, but now that it's official, I'm really getting excited for this film. Thank you very much.